Good evening and welcome to the Tiffin City School Board of Education meeting for March. We are joined tonight by state qualifiers in art, bowling, science, and wrestling to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The state qualifying doesn't include organization and mounting the stage, right?
It's always a challenge.
That's right.
Right, Doc?
Yeah.
Very, very pleased and honored to be here tonight with some of our finest at Tiffin Columbian High School. We had an outstanding fall, and we've had an even better winter. We've got 4 organizations represented tonight that had athletes, artists, or budding young scientists all make the state level of competition. And I want to introduce their coaches and teachers so that they can talk as well. But very, very proud of our young people. We've got outstanding students, the best I've ever worked with in my career, and we've got fine teachers and coaches that are really bringing out the best in young people. So congratulations, thanks for an outstanding winter season to our artists, to our bowlers, to our science fair participants, and to our state wrestling team. First up, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Liz Humphrey from the art department, and we are represented by our art department, our governor's show. We had 14 students submit 20 works to the governor's art show. We had 1 state artist selected for the governor's show, and Mrs. Humphrey will tell you a little bit about that.
Yes, one thing about Tiffin Columbia is our art program. I have to pat everybody, and the support we get is amazing. So I'm very, very blessed to have that here at the school. To recognize tonight, we have Ashley Tate. Go ahead. She's a regional winner. And on our list, we have Marissa Levin. She's a state winner. Jackie Kaler, a regional winner. Jaden Wardland, regional winner. Braden Reno, regional winner. Maggie Braymeyer, regional winner. Alyssa Hepperly, regional winner as well. Audrey Ziegler, regional winner with 2 pieces. Nina Cortez with 3 pieces at the regional level. Brennan Bird with 1 piece. Tyler Bensky with 1 piece. Alexis Brady with 1 piece. Colin Burkitz with 1 piece, and Kendall Bastilio with 1 piece. So well done, and congratulations to all the fine artists, and hope to continue to have more success. So.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Doc. I'm pinch hitting for head coach Corey Walton tonight from the bowling team. Coach Walton couldn't be here tonight due to work. We are lucky to have Spencer George, a second team All-Ohioan for state bowling. Our boys bowling team finished 8th in the district to qualify for the state bowling tournament. Our boys finished 14th out of 16 teams in team competition at the state bowling tournament in Columbus, Ohio, and it was one of the neatest events I've ever attended, and it was packed, and you had to stand on a stepladder to watch what was going on. Congratulations, Spencer. Very proud of you and the bowling team. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Jeanette Marshall from our science department, who worked with our science fair students, and she will tell you a little bit more about the great work that our students did in the various science fairs. Thanks, Mrs. Marshall.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to shout out to the art department who helped us so much in printing our posters for our science fair projects, even at the last minute. So, but anyway, this year we were able to go to 2 different district science days. There was a conflict with one of the science days with a band activity. So some of our students went to the West Central District Science Day, and that's where Samantha Kimmett actually qualified for the State Science Day, and she qualified there are two science days. The other science day is called the Buckeye Science and Engineering Fair, and from the Buckeye Science and Engineering Fair, you can qualify for the International Science and Engineering Fair. So that was 2 weeks ago, and then last weekend, another group of students actually went to the North Central District Science Day. Did I think it right? Yeah. And that was in Marion. And so at that Science Day, we had Mr. Corbin Height, he won the qualified for state, although he can't go to state because he will be going to the International Science and Engineering Fair in Phoenix, Arizona. He was nominated to be a student observer there, and which takes the pressure off of him. He doesn't have to present his project there. He also qualified for the Buckeye Science and Engineering Fair, so he does have that chance coming up where he could actually qualify as a participant at the International Science and Engineering Fair. At that district fair, he also won the Chemistry Award for the district and the Navy Award. Yes. And did I miss anything? No, you won a lot. Okay. Then also we have these lovely ladies, Sierra Steinmetz and Jocelyn Hardina. They also qualified for State Science Day at the District Science Day. And they have a team project, and they also won an award from the Air Force. So we have a couple more fairs coming up then. We have the Buckeye Fair coming up on April 6th, and then we have the State Science Day coming up on May 11th, and then Corbin will be in Phoenix, Arizona for May 11th to the 17th. So we had a couple more winners at the district fair. Well, one more actually that I didn't mention, and that was Jory Fawcett. She also got a superior on her science project. In fact, she received a perfect score on her science project, and they're 40 out of 40, and qualified for State Science Day. So, yep.
Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we have our state wrestlers. We had 5 individuals qualify for the state wrestling meet down at the Schottenstein Center. Tonight we have filling in for Coach Salyer, Mr. Sean Conley, assistant varsity coach, and Mr. Eric Gibson, assistant varsity coach. I guess Sean's going to take dad role tonight, huh? Mr. Salyer couldn't be here due to a family commitment tonight. Thanks so much for being here, Coach Gibson, and you can speak about the wrestlers.
Okay. Yeah, we have 5 wrestlers qualify for our state tournament this year. They are junior 182-pounder Joey Simcoe. He finished the year 37-13, and he is a 2-time state qualifier. We're looking to make it 3 next year. Nice job. We have freshman Brody Conley. Where's Brody? Oh, there he is. Finished the year 51-7 and finished 4th at the state tournament this year. Good job, Brody. We have senior Caden Hatley, finished the year 37-14, and first year making it down to Columbus. Sorry. And, oh, where's he at? There he is on the end. Forgot Branson. Andrew Branson was our state alternate this year. We still had him down there, though. Wish he would have been on the mat. He does, too. Finished the year 36-12 and is a 2-time state qualifier. And last, certainly not least, we have Caden Bloost, finished the year, where you at, 40-12, finished 6th at the state tournament this year, was a 4-time state qualifier, 3-time state placer. And we had quite a good group this year. Only 3 of them are leaving us, but we have a lot coming back, so we're hoping to we got 5 this year, at least another 5, hopefully more down to the state tournament next year. Our coaches this year were Travis Sawyer, who like I said couldn't make it tonight, Sean Conley, myself, and Sam Vingmany. You know what? I messed up. I'm sorry. Good. Other than that, good job this year, guys, and we'll see some of you back next year.
Very good. Nice job.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Very nice. Congratulations. Congratulations. Very good. That's everybody, right?
That's everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for having us tonight.
All right. We'll call to order, roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Here.
Dr. Hoyda? Here. Mr. Perez?
Mr. Perez is at a celebrity basketball game tonight.
Mr. Woodman?
Here.
Dr. Gase?
Here. Let's adopt the agenda with a correction.
We have a correction to the consent agenda under 803 Employment. At the top of page 3 of the agenda, under support staff for the 2018-2019 school year, these would be resignations. We need to remove the name Gary K. Studer. And we also have an addendum at the end of the meeting, and that will be to add 3 action items. 9.08, authorize Amy Wood to file expanding opportunities for each child grant. 909, approve a job description. And 9.10, amend employment. That's all I have.
Take the roll
I'll make the motion.
with the motion. Yeah.
Second?
Motion Henry, second Whitman. Roll.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Woodman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda? Yes. Dr. Gase?
Yes. Moving on to board reports. Business advisory. Business advisory met on March 21st at 8 a.m. at Tiffin Area Chamber of Commerce Meeting Room, which, by the way, will be the last time we meet there. We'll be meeting at Mercy Hospital. They offered continental breakfast and coffee. So of the 3 qualifiers, they won. So we'll be meeting at Mercy Hospital on Thursday mornings again. We called the meeting to order, and Pat Smith presented some information about the upcoming career fair. There are currently 67 businesses looking to present tomorrow morning, yes. So that'll begin at 8 a.m., I believe, right? 7:45, right. And that'll be open to juniors and seniors, and I believe that's done by like noon or somewhere in that range, and then it's open to college students, I believe, and locals till 1 o'clock. So everyone is invited that's interested in looking to get their name in the hat for a job. We talked about the CAM intervention or Camp Invention at June 17th through the 20th at Tiffin Middle School. Presently, there's 45 enrolled. The goal is 65 students, and Pat felt that to have 45 right now is pretty good because the real calls will be coming this next month. So she has no troubles thinking that we'll finish 65. And that number is special because it allows us to get another teacher. And they're still waiting or they're going to sign up student volunteers too. So there are several fall activities that are scheduled. Whirlpool's Get Wise activity for girls will be October 29th. That's for introducing young ladies to the engineering careers. Manufacturing Showcase is October 11th. And Mercy Hospital will again sponsor Heroes Wear Scrubs. This will either be for boys and girls. No date set this time, but likely be in October. An upcoming In-Demand Jobs Week will be coming up in May, full week of May. We're going to try to educate or engage educators and students with morning announcements. Columbia High School have videos scrolling on the TVs in the cafeteria. Speakers and business available to the students. The activities that are planned have a pediatric nurse from Nationwide Children's Hospital talking at Sentinel Middle School in Columbia on May 8th. Mr. Widman is having a Leading Edge Ohio program that's going to sponsor Careers That Love You Back, presented to Washington K-1 teachers on May 7th. And he's got other opportunities to work with the organization. And I will be taking our 4th grade REACH class from Noble to Tiffin Mercy Hospital for a tour of that on the Thursday, the 7th. We have a committee established to work on the think tank project for the fall. This will be a project where business person will meet with a group of students to learn how decisions are made, how projects are planned, and students come up with a real problem that the industry has, and ask the industry to give up a person for one day to lead them, guide them in problem solving, and hopefully implement any solutions they might come up with. Mr. Trissler pointed out that the group, we had 154 students attending the Sentinel Career Center this year, highest number Columbia has ever had. Don Detweiler reminded everyone that outstanding educator application is online. Janine Jackson updated that National Machinery Engineering Scholarships, there were 4 this year, applications for it, and up to, there were none last year. I think the last 2 years, nobody applied for it. These are $5,000 a year scholarships for 5 years, so $25,000. So at least they have candidates now. And let's see, there's going to also be, Hami Navarrete is introducing a program he believes is going to have with the electron microscope up at the University of Toledo, which is going to involve a daily operations for a week or 2, and we're going to try to figure out how to get transportation for the students interested in going that. So he and Mr. Mason, I believe, are leading that. So all in all, we had a busy meeting and a lot of things happening in Business Advisory. Next meeting will be, as I said, at Mercy Hospital on April 18th, 8 a.m. Any questions? Finance Committee, Mr. Perez has said is playing basketball tonight, so did not meet. Okay, excellent. Program Committee, Mr. Henry.
Thank you, Dr. Gase. The program committee met on March 20. It was a full meeting. There's an esports update that I'm going to defer to, I believe, Mr. Bowe's on. Is that correct? You'll be talking about esports? Very well. We discussed the literacy task force. That's going to be discussed later in the meeting and in future meetings. The takeaway from that is that letters are going to be mailed out to potential members of the task force. There is a meeting planned, and the idea is to encourage families to make a commitment to read for 20 minutes daily, not only in the Tiffin community but throughout the county. We talked about curriculum updates in science, math, algebra, and also with the particular attention to test results in Algebra 1. There's been conversations between administration and teachers about exploring alternative options to beef those test scores up. You also hear some discussion tonight that was discussed in program committee about changing the gifted service delivery model. We went over staff handbooks for the elementary, middle school, and Columbian High School. And our next meeting is April 17 at 5:15 p.m. in the administration building, first floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Any questions for Mr. Henry? Support Services, Dr. Hoyda.
Support Services did meet, but Scotty wants to give the presentation of what we discussed. I'll catch up with you in the pre-K-5 task force section.
The Support Services met Friday, March 15th at 8 a.m. We discussed food service report. Free and reduced stands at 43%, and lunch counts were up 317 month to month, comparing February to February from one year to the next. In technology report, we discussed the two 75-inch touchscreen TVs installed in the high school cafeteria for presentations. In the maintenance report, we talked about the stadium water line, Mid-Ohio pipeline repaired it. Discussed boiler controls and future energy projects. Talked about the future use of the garage behind the administration building, and spent a lot of time discussing the track, which I'll give a report on in a little bit.
Is that it, Dr. Hoyda? Okay.
Yep.
Any questions for Scotty or Dr. Hoyda? Okay, moving on. Personnel Committee did not meet. Records Committee did not meet. Legislative Liaison, Mr. Perez offered to submit a written document, but I advised him to wait till next month and present it then. Vanguard Sentinel update, Mr. Whitman.
Vanguard Sentinel met last week. A couple of different things. Enrollment projections are that enrollment will be up again next year. Over the last 5 years, we've seen our enrollment grow by about 200 students. Talked about our 5-year facility plan. We also talked about different program growth. We're taking a look at adding different programs or additional programs to our offerings, so we're excited about that. Very excited about the renewed and invigorating relationship that Vanguard Sentinel now has with Tiffin City, and so we're excited about what the future holds with that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Widman. Any questions for Mr. Widman? Okay, Pre-K 5 Task Force, Dr. Hoyda.
We did meet. During our meeting, we've kind of finalized on what we'd like to do with the building. We still have not selected a site yet, so we're working hard to secure property to build a new facility for the elementary children. At this point, we still don't have anything secured yet. When we will, you'll hear about it. Next meeting, we don't even have one scheduled yet, so. That's
All
it
right.
from pre-K.
Any questions for Dr. Hoyda? Very good. Student representatives. Kirsten.
Oh, me first? Okay.
Or Andrew.
I'll go, that's fine. Okay. My report's kind of short this week, but as Dr. Gase hit on, Columbian High School will be holding their annual career fair tomorrow, March 27th. This gives students a chance to meet with approximately 7 different businesses ranging from construction to healthcare to hospitality, IT, military, and much more. Students will have time set aside based on their grade level to go and discover these amazing opportunities. Businesses are looking to hire, but this also gives a chance for students to discover what they may like to do someday. Thank you to all our participants in advance for this great opportunity. Key Club is hosting a dance-a-thon on Wednesday, April 17th from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's right, that's a 10-hour all-night dance to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. The dance costs $10. Please encourage your students to come and have fun and make a difference. Columbian High School will be hosting the final ACT preparation classes. If your student is looking to get their ACT score up or prepare for their first time taking the test, sign up for the classes. Ends Friday, March 22nd. See Mrs. Spar in the main office if you have questions. Mamma Mia is showing this weekend on Friday and Saturday. Tickets are available at lunch and at the doors. I heard it's a great show that you don't want to miss, so come out and watch Mamma Mia. Tiffin City Schools is hosting a senior prom. It is open to everyone 50 years and older. The event will take place May 2nd from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Columbian High School. There is no cost to attend. Big congratulations to all of our state competitors. Big shout out to Jory Fawcett, Jocelyn Hardina, Sierra Steinmetz, and Corbin Height for their superior ratings at the North Central District Science Day for qualifying for State Science Day. Sierra and Jocelyn won the Air Force Award. Corbin won the District Chemistry Award, the U.S. Navy Award, and qualified for Buckeye Science and Engineering Fair, and was chosen as an observer for the International Science and Engineering Fair to be held in Phoenix, Arizona. And that concludes my report.
So one question, there's a couple different dances now. School board members, can we go to either dance or just the senior citizen dance?
Well, of course, I mean, I think you're young enough to go to both of them.
Okay, thank you.
Wow.
I always like you, Andrew.
Andrew, very good. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, Andrew took mine about Mamma Mia, but it's okay. So the musical, even though it's performing this Friday and Saturday, we are additionally doing a senior citizens show, which is on Thursday. And then the Tiffinian is actually looking for more sports and culture writers, and if you haven't checked it out already, you should read it. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, and that concludes my board report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kirsten. Any questions for either students? Thank you. Move on to superintendent's report.
Good, thank you, Dr. Gase. I'd like to congratulate our state qualifiers, coaches, and parents that joined us this evening. Tiffin Columbian truly had an amazing winter with athletics, sciences, and arts. And we're very, very proud of our students and our coaches and staff. Also want to recognize some folks that were honored a couple weeks ago at the Northwest Ohio School Board Association spring annual award ceremony. Bryce Riggs was recognized for his community service, specifically based on his work with Business Advisory Council, helping us obtain the Year 13 grant, and also with his work with our Positive Levy campaign. Also, Angie and Bill Beeston were recognized with the Humanitarian Award, have been incredible community members in helping some families who really suffered some tragedy and taking care of some children, and we really appreciate their work. And then Judd Lutz received the Leadership Award for his work in community service with Rise Up and the leadership within our athletic program. So it was a really, really nice night for Tiffin City Schools. That is now I believe 3 conferences in a row where we've been represented in every single area of awards. So we're proud of that. Also, Dr. Judy from OSBA and Bowling Green will be coming to the school Friday to sit down and talk with myself and Bob and Jill Miller. She's very interested in how much time and commitment we've had with our classified staff with the social emotional learning component. Specifically working with our classified staff with PACS training and other trainings. So she is actually writing a presentation for the Ohio School Board Conference where Bob and Jill will present on that specific topic. I also want to give a shout out to the musical. I heard it was outstanding. I heard the crowds were great. I really look forward to attending this weekend. Wasn't able to last weekend because I was actually at a school safety and public engagement conference. I'm really happy that, especially with the school safety conference, that we have implemented many of the best practices that they talked about at the conference. The SRO, our FOB system, Navigate, and our Raptor system were all areas where they talked about making improvements in school security, and it was really reassuring to hear so many of those recommendations at the conference. Also had a chance to hear an amazing keynote speaker from the I Love You Foundation, Michael Paul Keys, who he lost his daughter in Colorado back in the mid-2000s when a man took a group of girls hostage in that particular school. The last text that he received from his daughter before she passed was, "I love you guys." And he formed a foundation with 3 resources that marry very well with Navigate. So I'm actually invited him to be our keynote speaker at Convocation this year. I think he'll do a tremendous job reassuring and promoting that safety is all of our business from a standpoint with staff in the community, and he'll work with our administrative team on marrying those particular resources that he has with Navigate Prepared. I'd now like to introduce Samantha Lichtenberg, who's going to provide you with a presentation on a Spanish trip that we would like to provide for students in the future. Thank you, Samantha.
He's going to help me up. I sent it to him, but I have updated copies of this for you all in a moment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is this on? Yep, there we go. Okay, that answers my question. Hi, my name is Samantha Lichtenberger. I teach Spanish 1 and 2 at Columbian, and I'm here to talk about a tour proposal for Costa Rica for June 2020. So this is a proposal that we are considering. Let's see, maybe, yes, the up button, right? Thank you. So our proposal is a 9-day trip. This would be for Tiffin Columbian students. It's through a company called EF Tours. EF Tours, if you haven't heard of them before, is a company that was established in 1965, and they have tours that go all over the world. They are a lot of really different variety, great options, and we have decided that it would be best for us to look into going to Costa Rica. So that's what we have on our thought process there. They're an accredited company, so there is an option for class credit that would be coming through this. This would be proposed for students who had finished at least Spanish 2 as of next school year. So that means that students in Spanish 1 this year, if they've signed up to do Spanish 2 next year, it would still be applicable for them. Or people who have finished Spanish 2 and are no longer in the Spanish program, if they've done Spanish 3, Spanish 4, etc. I actually talked to the tour consultant about this, and the adult supplement price of this does not apply until a person is 20 years of age or older, so even a graduating senior could be applicable for this and still have that student price, being that they were a Tiffin Columbian student. We're proposing this for the future. That would be welcome for them as well. Mr. Trissler and I have discussed we'd like to have at least a 12-student minimum for this proposal, the idea being that for every 6 students that you get signed up, you have 1 free chaperone included with that. And so that would be the idea of having a female chaperone, myself, and a male chaperone, so that we would have all eventualities covered. We'd be represented at the Tiffin City Schools level by a male and a female. This is proposed for June of 2020, which is a year out, which is pretty typical in the EF scheduling from what I've understood. The proposed cost for this is $2,720 per student. That includes the round-trip airfare, lodging, meals, on-tour transportation, and sightseeing activities. The only thing that does not include would be any kind of souvenirs that you might buy. This is a pretty steep price, and I understand that that's going to be one of the biggest issues that we face going into this, but you can divide it into monthly payment plans if that's something that would be a good idea for that particular family. That would be $188 over 14 months, and there is a lot of policy that involves with that, a cancellation policy, refund policy. There's a lot that goes into that, which I have information about as well. The biggest thing, though, I know that while parents are going to be concerned about price, they're also primarily going to be concerned about safety, and that's my biggest concern as well. You know, we want to make sure that all of our students are well taken care of at all times. With every tour that EF Tours does, there is a tour director that accompanies the trip from the minute they land at the airport. You get picked up at the airport, and they take you with you the whole time. They're with you, available 24/7. They travel with you. That tour director is a bilingual representative of EF and would be able to answer and solve any questions and problems that might arise. One of the reasons why the price is the way that it is that I chose to add the global travel protection plan for $165 per person. And directly from EF, a quote about that said that in terms of safety, the global travel protection plan is insurance through specialty insurance solutions that protects travelers. For example, if a traveler has a serious reason why they cannot go on tour and has to come late, such as getting ill right before the trip, or the deceased family member, travel delay, lost luggage, stolen property, coverage for medical expenses. If any of the above were to occur, EF would cover the expense, and/or the traveler could claim a file with the insurance to get reimbursed. So that's one thing that I chose to add because it kind of helps for the many eventualities that people might be worried about, such as illness. So this is a long way out. It's hard to plan for a lot of what life throws at us, and that was something that I kind of thought to include for that. The other thing is the Peace of Mind program, and that kind of goes into the fact that EF really monitors the national and international travel situations that we would be dealing with at any given time. The EF will only take groups to countries rated a 1 to 2 on the U.S. State Department travel rankings of countries. They constantly monitor that, and if anything were to change, that would be when that would kick into play, and there would be refunds and backups provided for if the worst happens and something goes really wrong in the country right before we're supposed to get there. We would be definitely pulling out, but that wouldn't mean that everybody's money would be lost, that type of thing. So finally, the reason why we should consider this, to me, I know that the price is a really big issue with that. I know that safety is something that's really important to consider, but in my own personal experience, study abroad was one of the biggest things that has impacted my life. I didn't get a chance ever to leave the country until I was in college, and it really turned me into the educator that I am today. I know students of mine who've been in class with me have heard about all the stuff that I got to do just because I was able to leave my comfort zone, and it taught me a lot about myself. It gave me a lot more confidence as a human being, but taught me a lot about the cultures that I went to, and it was just something that is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And if that's something that we could offer to our students at Tiffin Columbian, I figured that that would be something that was worth our consideration. So again, all of this is a proposal, and I really appreciate your time, and if you have any questions, please let me know what they are.
Thank you, Samantha. Any questions for Ms. Lichtenberg?
I do. Is it going to be open to the public at all? Could we go as a school board member?
Yes, yes, you could. Yep,
Well,
that is another thing that I'll be offering, you know, if this moves any forward at all. In the price thing, that there's an adult price and a student price. We'd love to have lots of adults come with us.
The reason I ask is I had the pleasure of going on the Mohawk French Club tour to Europe last summer. And it was through EF Tours.
Wonderful.
It's a phenomenal organization, and actually the price isn't high enough for what you get. We did so many things that you could not have done on your own without a tour guide. I mean, when we were in Paris, we had a city tour guide in addition to our regular EF tour guide. When we were in London, we had a city tour guide. I think they're called Blue Coats. It's the highest level tour guide we offer in the city.
You had an interpreter in London, too?
Yeah, we had an interpreter in London, yeah. But it was
Providing for every eventuality.
When I saw you were choosing EF Tours, you picked the right person, the right group. It was just a phenomenal experience, and I encourage anyone that could have the possibility of going to go. It's truly remarkable. To tell you how much I enjoyed it, I've already signed up for the one in 2 years to France, Germany, and Switzerland.
Wow.
With Mohawk again. And they have 83 people signed up for their tour already.
Wow, that's
For 2
incredible.
years, so-
This is my first experience with EF. This actually came to me, this all got started because I'll get a lot of things as a Spanish teacher, you know, kind of just, you know, mail all the time from every different company in the world that wants us to travel with them. This came with a personal recommendation because they had actually gotten in touch with Karen Mishniak, who's the Spanish 1 teacher at the middle school, and had asked her if she would be interested in leading a tour. And she said, well, no, I'm kind of past my tour leading time, but I know someone up at the high school who might be interested, and that's what led them to me. So thank you very much. That means a lot. That makes me feel really good.
So you mentioned getting out of the comfort zone, and I know that some, my daughter went to Mexico one of the years in school, and they stayed with some host families. Is there any of that? I saw the hotels, but is there any?
No, not in this particular one, because when I was originally looking, there were a lot of different options for Costa Rica, and some of them included more intensive language courses, some of them included host families, and so we figured for this first round, that was pushing the price up into the upper 3,000 range, and I figured that for this first time that we would be offering it, at least my first experience offering it to the public at this particular time. You know, it's only my 3rd year in Tiffin, and I just don't want to assume anybody's, you know, financial level. If we had an overwhelming response to this, then I would definitely be interested into looking into that again, because that was my own experience in study abroad, was host family.
Would this also, by chance, be offered to alumni of Columbian?
Yes, the idea here is that if you are, because I had asked about, you know, because I was wondering when I was talking to the tour consultant, I was like, well, what about our seniors? You know, I would feel really bad that I was introducing this trip their senior year, and they're like, well, come on, why didn't you offer this 2 years ago when I was still there? So yeah, I'm, you know, completely welcome to that. Again, that student price applies until you're 20, and then once you're 20, the adult price applies. So that is something that, you know, could definitely be, you know, in that in-between range if you are studying in college and you aren't going to necessarily be able to study abroad, but this could kind of work in that way. Yep. Any other questions?
Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Anything else, Mr. Barber?
No, that concludes my report.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Barber? Anything? Okay. Mr. Bose?
Thank you, Dr. Gase. I have a few items tonight. The first one is the first reading of the 2019-2020 high school and middle school staff handbooks. A lot of date changes in there for parent-teacher conferences of that nature. Probably the most noted addition to those handbooks would be the professional code of conduct. I was at a workshop recently, and even though those areas in the professional code of conduct are covered on a regular basis through meetings and professional development opportunities through school or public school works, we never had a code of conduct in our staff handbooks, so we made those additions to next year's handbooks. The second item I have is a reading of revised board policy for the gifted services. As Mr. Henry alluded to earlier, the changes that we are suggesting would allow us to increase our gifted services in grades 3 through 5 without adding additional staffing. The third item that I have tonight is my highlight of not only the evening, but of the entire third quarter. It is time to recognize our third quarter Crystal Apple Award winners. Dr. Gase, if I can have you step to the podium, please. Our first recipient for the classified Crystal Apple Award for the third quarter is Lynn Franz. Lynn, would you please come to the podium? Lynn is a member of our food service team, and Lynn joined the TCS food service family in 1980, and she has literally been serving students for about 40 years. That's outstanding. Lynn was nominated by Mrs. Jan Beard, our food service supervisor. And let me read from the nomination form some of the things about Lynn shared from Jan Beard. First of all, in the area of teamwork, Jan says that Lynn, with her nearly 40 years of service, is the go-to department head in the central kitchen. She is known for the teamwork attitude, helping everyone and helping whenever needed. In the area of commitment, Lynn is one of the best in this area of commitment. She always gives it her all in finishing her regular job duties and any other project we might be working on. She always goes the extra mile. In the area of leadership, as a food service supervisor, I call upon Lynn to utilize her skills throughout our department. Lynn has served as a supervisor in my absence and has done a very good job in all aspects. In the area of taking pride in your work, whatever job Mrs. Franz is asked to do, she always does a great job and always has a positive mental attitude. Her work area and paperwork is always in order and spotless. Jan went on to share also that Lynn is acknowledged yearly at our Food Service Professional Development Day for her years of service and many times for perfect attendance throughout those 40 years. A special note from Jan, as supervisor, I feel that Mrs. Lynn Franz is very deserving of this honor. She is very dedicated, honest, and loyal to not only our food service department, but to Tiffin City School District. I am honored to work with Lynn on a daily basis. She is not only a co-worker, but a friend to the entire staff. Her favorite quote, "I love my job." Lynn, we're very proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words? Would you like to say a few words? You don't have to.
I just want to say, I'll just say thank you to everyone. I've enjoyed all the years I've been here, and it's been a real pleasure to work with all the students and to be able to feed them daily a nutritious meal for breakfast and lunch. And thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our second third quarter recipient for certified staff is Mrs. Christine Shaver. Chris, would you please come to the podium? Chris joined the TCS family in 2014, and before that she was an elementary teacher in Fostoria for 6 years. Christine was nominated by her colleague Tiffany Thompson, Title I teacher at Kraut, and this is what Tiffany has to say about Christine. In the area of teaching, when you walk through the doors of Christine's classroom, it is evident that learning is taking place. Her classroom is organized and routines are in place. Mrs. Shaver greets every student at the door with a handshake and a good morning. After greeting every student, you'll find Christine working one-on-one with students to differentiate learning, reviewing differentiated sight word lists, spelling lists, or homework assignments. She looks at the individual needs of her students and meets them where they are. Christine sets high classroom expectation, and discipline is not an issue in her classroom. In the area of commitment, outside of school, Mrs. Shaver can often be seen at her students' extracurricular activities, games, tournaments, and dance recitals to show her support for them. She shows her true commitment to her students both in and out of the classroom. She volunteers to help with all PTO-sponsored events. In the area of leadership, Christine also has a positive relationship with colleagues. She collaborates with other teachers and takes a position of leadership in the third grade team. She is very tech savvy and creates documents for other teachers whenever they ask. She volunteers and helps out her team in any way she can. Mrs. Shaver is also a teacher mentor for new third grade teachers and goes above and beyond the expectations of that duty on a regular basis. In the area of student center, Christine inspires all students to learn. She does not stick to the textbook or traditional methods of teaching. She finds creative ways to make learning enjoyable for every student. The class is often doing science experiments, using technology, or working in collaborative learning groups. Mrs. Shaver is also a big proponent of getting her students involved in community with monthly service projects. Christine provides a variety of ways to learn so that all students can learn. Mrs. Shaver creates a private Facebook page each year and is always uploading pictures of her class to allow parents to stay abreast of classroom activities. One final note, when parents were asked what they liked best about Mrs. Shaver's classroom, many of them said the extra steps she takes to make their child feel special. All parents agree that she goes over and above as a teacher for their child. Christine, we're very proud of you. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Very nice. Those are some wonderful things.
Oh, thank
Do you want to say a few words? You don't have to.
I'm honored, thank you. It was a big shock when you came into my room, and I just thank everyone, all my colleagues for their support, and thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The final item I have tonight, Dr. Gase, is just a brief synopsis of esports. Last month at program committee, Mr. Weber came to us talking about esports and how basically this idea has exploded on the scene here recently. So with that, I've asked Mr. Weber to give us a brief update on where we are with our esports club at the high school. And he's going to talk a little bit about where we're at and how things are going. Mr. Weber?
Thank you, Mr. Bose. For you that do not understand or do not know what esports is, it was founded in the year 2000 in Korea, and since then it has grown. Hopefully I can get it to move. To an estimated 250 million people watching esports. What is esports? Esports is a competitive electronic game of strategy and discipline and can be played individually as a team. The game is played at both professional, college, and high school levels. For an example, Tyler Ninja Levins and his gaming streams on Twitch is referred to by teens as the same level as LeBron James and Tom Brady, with an estimated following of 12 million fans. He has an income of $300,000 per month on streaming revenue alone. Not too bad. And he's not even 30 yet. Esports was designed to allow anyone, both boys and girls, to compete. This is for those who may not have the physical stamina to play a physical sport such as football or baseball, but can mentally strategize with other team members in an effort to compete against other schools for a chance to win prizes and scholarships, which are being offered by major colleges and universities. Besides playing the games, students learn teamwork, communication, time management, critical thinking, leadership, social awareness, networking, community involvement, and fundraising, just to name a few. We've also seen that some of the players have actually benefited from this by learning the hardware and the software that goes into these games, and they use this knowledge in STEM and STEAM classes. Here are a few of the colleges and universities that are offering assistance with scholarship money. Even though this is called esports, it is not sanctioned by the OHSAA, but it is being viewed more and more as a competitive sport, especially around the world. It is a club sport, a varsity club, and even as a course in colleges. Tiffin University offers students the option of pursuing this as a minor in the academic field along with other classes such as finance, government, computer, and information systems. There is no traveling required, which makes this sport even more attractive to school districts. But when there are tournaments and playoffs for top prizes, there is some traveling involved for the players to be in person. These prizes are usually large money amounts or scholarships awarded. The league has been structured to accept students ages 13 plus or grades 9 through 12. This goes along with the games as well. Although we do not have an 8th grade class club at this time, we may start one depending on the success of this group. These restrictions meet the guidelines of COPA requirements, which is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. The requirements for the equipment needed for this league are to have a PC with the system requirements of a medium to high-speed processor, to have a high graphics card in your modem, to have a keyboard and mouse, which would be a gamer's keyboard and mouse, and a headset to communicate between your team players. We have already most of that equipment, and we have the room to participate in. The equipment, which would be the gamer keyboard and mouse and the headset, would be provided through my department. Anything after this year would be provided hopefully through donations. We're actually looking into companies right now that would be willing to donate money to have their name mentioned. Who can participate? Like I said, it can be anyone 13 or over, 9 through 12. They have to have a parental consent, they have to carry a 2.5 or better grade point average, and they have to be enrolled in high school in the state of Ohio. So far, we have in the state of Ohio 44 schools playing for scholarships. These games were chosen through this year, the League of Legends, Rocket League, and Overwatch. These games were carefully chosen by area universities, and they are also rated for teens 13 and over. This was we sent out a survey to the high school without letting them know that we were really serious. We wanted to know just a little bit about them, what they would think. As you can see up there, how many of you would be interested? You can see the number of kids that were actually interested in playing. The next slide will show you the grade level. It's pretty much even across. And then the last one is the gender. Most of it is male, with a small percentage female. The rest, I think, were just kids messing around. But in all seriousness, we did receive some comments, and one that I want to share is a boy said, and we didn't ask for their names or their emails, a boy did say to one of my technicians, "It's about time. I've been waiting my whole life for this. Don't screw it up for me." So I do have Nick Delacerda, who is our IT technician. He's 22, I think, now. He just turned 22. He knows the lingo, he knows the games, and he's going to be my right-hand man. We also have Travis McQuistion, who's also going to be participating and helping out with the classes. We have room for 25 students. 25. We have had 180 students reply that want to participate. So they've got their work cut out to eliminate and find the top best players. Besides the games, we also are looking at drone racing possibly next year if everything goes well. Does anyone have questions?
Does it appear as though the Ohio High School Athletic Association will begin to recognize these sports? Do we have any indication?
I don't see it backing off. I see it growing. Back in September when Nick Ryder, who's a tech coordinator for Cary School, he sat down with some of us. There was probably 5 or 6 schools. And we said, what's the chances of it growing? By December, it was 10. And you can see how many we have now. We were only going to have Northwest Ohio, and the bug just caught on. We have schools as far south as Chillicothe now involved with us. So it's no longer Northwest Ohio. So I would probably have to say we're going to probably have to have them involved somehow to at least oversee the regulations. We're even talking about having the kids work out, having them exercise so that they're not just sitting in front of a monitor. I know Napoleon has already said that that's what they're doing.
So currently we have a club, an esports
Yes.
club.
Yes.
And what we're seeking is to have it become a recognized.
No, just as a club. We just want a club. This is our opportunity just to get it off the ground, to see how it's going to be with the students and the parents, and see how serious they are.
I believe in the past when we've had a club, we've had some financial responsibility, but not very much. Will we have financial responsibility?
Well, I think we have the technology, and we don't travel, and our club advisors are going to volunteer.
Yes.
So.
They're aware of that.
Just electricity.
I think the greatest thing about it is we're going to be facing a screen. Hopefully the other teams will be facing us so we can see who's playing each other. Other than that, it's not going to be a large group of people in a room. We're going to offer the link to the students so that they can watch the players, but they're not going to be in the same room with the players.
Are you using Twitch for that?
At the moment, that's undecided. I know that's one of the things that the guys have requested.
Yeah, that's a really big one.
Mm-hmm. We are using, and I don't have my note here to tell me, and I apologize for that. We are using a link for texting back and forth with the players that will allow them to be able to not so much trash talk, but just to get in each other's faces, to kind of get over in their heads, but it's got filtering on it.
Is it Discord?
Yeah, thank you. She comes through again.
Tim, I just want to, we've talked about this in program for 2 months. I want to thank you and your staff. I know how much work you do in this district. I see the emails and the issues that pop up, and your staff has stepped forward. And I view this, I don't know anything about esports, but I view this as another opportunity. When we talk about being a destination district, this is an opportunity for student engagement of all students, including students who are mobility impaired, would not otherwise be able to participate in what we might call traditional sports. There's a grade point average requirement, which I think is wonderful. It's going to incentivize the students that are in this club to maintain good grades. There's a lot of other pluses to it, but really I just want to thank you and the individuals you have on your staff, which is not a big staff, by the way, and I'm aware of that, for for your hard work on this. There was a lot of thought that went into this, and I think it's wonderful. I really
Thank you.
do. I'm really looking forward to watching this develop, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to say that it's an honor to represent Tiffin City Schools. And it's a great opportunity for these kids who don't have the opportunity to play sports. So good kudos to them too. Thank you.
Tim, you said the 2.5 grade point?
Yes.
Where did that come from?
That came from the committee.
From our committee?
Actually, it came from the committee that is the group of the schools.
Okay, very good.
They actually have a board, a group of members.
Perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And the 25 members, is that limited by coaching? Is it limited by space?
It's limited by space and machines.
Are you having, is it like first come, first serve, or unauditioned?
Audition.
So that'll be the most competitive tryouts in any sport at Tiffin Columbian.
Yes, it will be. And I have a lot of serious players.
I'm hoping, and I understand there's limitations on equipment and seats, but I'm hoping that we can get more than 25 students involved. There's no reason why we couldn't do these things on successive days and maybe have leagues within the school. There's a lot of flexibility. I've been doing a lot of reading on this, Tim, since the first time.
Good.
And I'm watching this, and New Jersey and California seem to be on the cutting edge of this, where they're doing a lot of they're literally doing intramural leagues within schools where you'll have different teams competing. So I'm hoping that I would like to see this program not exclude anybody if we can get to that point. That's where I'd really like to be with this. So just a thought for the future. I know we have to start small and we have to start as club, but I'm hoping that we can get as many students as want to participate will be able to participate at some point in the future.
And I just want you to know Tiffin University has reached out and they're lending their hand in any way possible. So.
And I know esports is just especially huge in colleges everywhere. Like kids get full rides for being really good at esports.
Tiffin University is offering a nice scholarship. So.
Quick question. I know that you mentioned that there's a board to this esports.
Mm-hmm.
Would there be a school participation fee in order to?
Yes, and I'm sorry that I left that out. The participation fee is that the game that you will want to play, you have to purchase. And usually those are around $20. That's it at this moment.
Is Overwatch really only $20?
Pardon?
No.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Tim. Appreciate all your hard work.
No problem.
Let's see. Mr. Bose?
That's it. Thank you, Dr.
Very
Grace.
good, thank you. Move on to Director of Operations, Mr. Daniel.
Yeah, the majority of our support services meeting, we met with Brian Cole, who's installing our track, and I had John Karani and Amy Cooper, the track coaches, come in, and we selected the colors for the track. And we're going with 2 different color lane selection of a dark blue and a light blue for the track, alternating lanes, and then the exchange zones will be gold. And we set up a timeline with the company. The pavement will start the day after Memorial Day, grinding it out and putting it down, and then there's about a 30-day period for the track to cure, or for the asphalt to cure, and then they'll start laying the track in early July. And hopefully, weather permitting, should finish pretty easily by the end of July.
So you mentioned a particularly concerning point about the exchange zone sizes possibly being changed.
Yes, we're still researching. Brian Cole really says we should put them in at 30 meters. Amy Cooper's been trying to get a hold of the head track official for the state. And she's had one conversation with him. He was checking with buddies, and she has not got back with me yet on what the distance should be.
So just for clarity, the exchange zone at the NCAA is 30 meters.
Yes.
In high school, it's still 20.
20 meters. So,
but it might change.
But it might change within the next couple of years. So his recommendation is that you put it in as 30, paint it to 20, so in the future they change it, you just have to move it one simple line instead of tearing out rubber and putting different color in.
All right, very good, thank you. Any other items? Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to the opportunity for public to address the board. Each person wanting to address the board, give name, address, and you're allotted 3 minutes.
Carissa Allen, 135 Clinton Avenue. I didn't really have anything to say, except 2 young gentlemen sat behind me tonight in their Eagle Scout uniforms, and they had to leave before this portion came. And I asked, well, what do you guys, they were asking me questions, and I was explaining to them kind of how it works here and stuff, and for them to get up and talk, and what do you guys need to talk about? And they said, well, they'd like to wear, and I'm going to get it wrong, because their cord or something to represent their they're earning their Eagle Scout at graduation. And I guess they were told, and I don't know who told them, so I'm not sure how this works, but I just wanted to bring it up because I really applaud them for earning that. It's not easy. Not very many people get to that rank. And I don't know, like I said, why they had to leave before this came. I think they had a prior commitment or something. So just something to think about, and maybe that could get addressed for those gentlemen. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any others? Move on to the consent agenda. Item 8.01, approve the minutes from the February board meetings. Item 8.02, approve treasurer's reports for February. Item 8.03 is employment. Item 8.04, donations and grants. And item 8.05 is a statement of purpose budget reports. Entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Henry, second. Whitman, roll.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Widman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. Moving on to action items. 9.01, approve the 2019-2020 student parent handbooks.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Henry, second. Whitman, roll. Any discussion, excuse me? Take the roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda? I'm sorry, Mr. Widman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda? Dr. Gase?
Yes. 9.02, approve the proposal for frontline education.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Henry, second. Whitman, discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Widman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda? Dr. Gase?
Yes. 9.03 is approve the agreement with BC Technologies Company.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Henry, second Whitman, discussion. This is the technology for online forms, I guess that's what this is.
Yes, it'll save our parents a tremendous amount of time, because even when you take a look at one form, an emergency medical form, they'll only have to go in there and make changes if there's a change of address or contact number. So it'll also streamline much of our work and actually free up some time with our secretaries. The online format has been really looked at. I believe even from the year before I came, I've looked at it 3 years and have really found that it's gonna really help our personnel be more efficient, and I think our parents are gonna love it.
Thank you. Take the roll.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Widman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. 9.04 is approved agreement with school messenger.
So moved.
Second.
Motion Henry, second Whitman, discussion. And this replaces the instant alert that we presently use.
Yeah, we've had a lot of discussion, and Tim has done a lot of research. Our instant messenger, we feel like, Tim, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the pipeline has sort of been filled by so much volume of districts. We've experienced some problems, and many of the districts that have used it have experienced problems. I've used School Messenger in the past. Tim did a lot of research, and it's actually going to be more cost effective, and it will also give us the options for simultaneous email, text, and voicemail.
Thank you. Take the roll.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Widman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. Item 9.05, approve the Spanish students' trip abroad.
So moved.
Motion, Henry.
Second.
Second, Whitman. Discussion. I think it was a very good presentation. I was a little concerned about the safety issue. I've been to Costa Rica some time ago, not then in San Jose, but the northern areas. And you go to the resort and there's armed guards there, and you're thinking, but sounds like they've done their homework and have a good program. So we have a motion, Henry, second, Whitman. We'll take the roll.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. 9.06, adopt resolution to reemploy superintendent.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Henry, second, Whitman. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. 9.07, approve Census Awareness Day proclamation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Henry, second, Whitman. Discussion. So it's brought forward by Mr. DeBoli. Is that my understanding? John DeBoli? Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. 9.08 is authorizing Ms. Amy Wood to file expanding opportunities for each child grant.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Henry, second, Whitman. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. Action item 9.09, approve job description.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Henry, second, Whitman. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. Item 9.10, amend employment.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Henry, second, Whitman. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Whitman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. Item 10, opportunity for the public to dialogue with the board. We'll have approximately 18 minutes, concluding at 8:30. The topic we've chosen tonight was college and career readiness.
Hello, Wendy Rosen, 55 Walnut Street. And actually, my topic kind of is at the beginning of college and career readiness, is because I'm getting ready to send my granddaughter to school. So I was like, oh, I wonder what the numbers are at the K-1 building. And I was actually shocked when I looked into it and found out that we have 23 and 24 students in each class, and that's also in the first grade. And 23 years ago, I was standing here bringing that same topic up for my own children. So I guess I'm kind of asking what your opinion is when the new building is going to be built, because I understand that the K-1 building is at its capacity. Even if you wanted to, you couldn't get smaller classrooms. My opinion as an educator, and I'm sure those teachers, the kids have changed drastically just within the 5 and 10 years. And having that many kids in a classroom, I don't see how you can possibly get them to the best point they can be for even elementary school. Working with, I'm sure, the ladies that are sitting over there trying to do literacy, trying to do handwriting, trying to do word recognition. When you have that many students in a classroom, I don't see how we can say that we are a destination school. If I was moving into this area and I'm looking at all the counties, and I called Hopewell Loudon, they have 14 in their kindergarten classrooms. I called Mohawk, they have 15. I called Seneca East, they have 13. Calvert has 18. And when you look at someone moving into this area that says, I could live in the county somewhere, I would choose a school with lower class sizes. And I understand the teachers are doing the best they can. I'm sure that all the board members here want the best for the students. So I'm asking you that when you're looking at building a new school, what is your opinion? Or is that going to be a priority? Because I thought it was 25 years ago that we were saying this is a priority, let's lower our class size. I mean, now when we have children in their varying degrees of abilities, I commend the ladies and the men who teach lower elementary classrooms and have that many students in a classroom. I mean, you want small class sizes because you have to be hands-on. You have to be in a small group, 2, 3 kids at a time when you're trying to teach them how to write, because you can be standing at the board and saying, okay, everybody have your pencils up, we're going to go down. You know where kids start? They start at the bottom and they go up. You have to be right there to be able to say, you know, and teach them. My other point is we have Lincoln Elementary with 116 kids sitting there. Is that a viable space that maybe we should do 2 buildings, K-1 buildings, and lower class sizes? So that's just my spiel to say, if we want to have kids who are ready to go into a career, if we want to have kids ready to be college bound, we have to start them at the lower elementaries, and we have to say, we're going to put a cap, 20 kids in a classroom the most. If it gets to be above that, we're going to lower the class sizes. Thank you.
Wendy, thank you for your thoughts. And you know, you're right, with space being one of the issues at Washington, every nook and cranny is occupied in that building. You know, our teachers are forced to eat on the stage. It's challenging. I do want you to know that we are addressing that as we've looked at our program of requirements for the new elementary and have allowed ourselves with that initial program much more space, classroom space and swing space for that perspective. The things that we've tried to do to combat those numbers are the addition of aides, are adding a counselor there, adding an additional title teacher next year that'll serve as the kindergarten. So, you know, we are addressing that long range with the new building and trying to address it with giving our teachers more support. I totally agree. They work hard. All of our staff works very hard. We're very fortunate to have the quality we have, and we need to make sure that we're supporting our staff with that. The fact that you talk about Lincoln, that's an idea. But I know that we are hoping that we have the opportunity to put a bond issue on the ballot in the near future and are able to realize that dream of a new elementary.
So how far out would a new elementary be? And then, so what are the immediate goals for next year? Because we're not going to have a new school next year, so.
Yeah, you're right, but like I said, I think the immediate goals have been to address those by additional support staff.
And I understand that, but being as a teacher, I know that a classroom assistant or aide is not comparable to having a low class size with a teacher.
Right, but fortunately, we have great teachers, and we're still getting results.
But think of what those great teachers could do with lower class sizes. So what I'm saying is, here we have,
But our growth, when you take a look at our data, because right now, I want to talk about data and not opinion, and there's really no research out there that says smaller class sizes give more results. The research tells you that the best teachers get results, and we're very fortunate to have that.
and I would argue that probably the people who are putting out those reports are not teachers. I mean, if you're a classroom teacher, I am sorry, think of what Mrs. Shaver could have done with a lower class size. You know, the people that are out there in the trenches are the people who you should be asking and saying, what is important? What do we want to do? And if we have, in the immediate future, we don't have a building, so for the next 2 or 3 years, we're still going to do 23, 24 kids. If we want it to be, Dr. Gay started a literacy program for babies, but think of what you could do with a literacy program with less. And I'm sure when you have 23, 24 in a class, even when you have 2 or 3 absent, you are amazed at the difference that you're like, wow, even 2 or 3 kids, once you get above 20, that makes a huge difference. So I'm just saying in the near future, before we have a building, are there plans, are you discussing it? Are we saying, hey, let's try to do something. Let's try to take Lincoln and put some K-1 building kids there, or go back to neighborhood schools until we have a new building. I don't know. I'm just saying I was shocked because we have been saying for years and years this is a priority for us, but my kids were in there 25 years ago when we had 23, 24, 25 kids in the classrooms at the lower elementary. So I'm just saying, I just feel like I'm very passionate about, I think lower elementary needs to have low class numbers. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments. I used the example of the Rubik's Cube in this district. Every time you move one square, you got to account for others. And that's exactly what's going on at our elementaries. I remember when we changed the lighting at Washington, and the major comment was, great, we have additional instructional space. And it blew me away because the lighting change that we made was in the hallways. It wasn't in the classrooms. And the teachers were just thrilled about the idea that we could move individual students into a hallway to work on whatever the subject was, reading, math, whatever. It was for me, it was one of those epiphanal moments where you don't realize just how compact everything is until you get a comment like that from the folks with the boots on the ground, the classroom teachers. I'm married to somebody who teaches classroom teachers, and there is no doubt in her mind that smaller classrooms at those younger ages make a difference. The data is all over the board, but as someone who's actually taught and been a principal and a lead teacher in an elementary school, she agrees. I hope that this message carries on when we do float a bond issue. I think it's important for people in this district to know that our physical plant makes a difference in the quality of our education. And when we go to build a building, it's going to cost a lot of money, and we want to do it right. And we're working on that right now. We've been working on it actually for about a year and a half, closer to 2 years in the planning stages. It is interesting to me too that the funding that is available for this, at least most of it through the Ohio Construction Facilities Commission, they have limitations on number of students and amount of space. And those limitations, I understand everybody's got to have a rule. There's got to be a number. But sometimes those limitations don't jive with the data on what's the best environment for particularly our kids at the pre-K, K1 and 2 level, where that smaller class size, a lot of people agree with you that it is essential that we reduce that class size. So we're constantly dealing with the regulatory and the financial Rubik's Cube, and it is very frustrating sometimes, but we are thinking about it. It is not past us as a board, and certainly in program committee, we've discussed this before. In fact, every year I've been on program, we've discussed that we need more space and we need smaller classes when we can get them. And so it's a concept that continues to be discussed and continues to be worked on, and we have old buildings, some of which we can't really fix anymore or expand to. Others we might be able to, but of course every time you move a class, you've got to move faculty, and then there's all this horizontal and vertical integration that I've learned about that I'm not an educator, but is important for the folks that are in the classrooms, has to be taken into account. I do appreciate your zeal for this very much. Thank you.
More on the topic of like the high school college readiness. As a senior, I have found this year that something that I don't necessarily feel prepared for is like understanding that I had to do a lot more additional work on my own. It was very stressful, was figuring out like what a good scholarship is, how much a good tuition price is, because I remember asking my counselors like, oh, what is a good amount of debt, or like a debt to be in, like how much debt should I be in, how much debt should I not be in, like what is a good scholarship, can you help me like figure out how much this is, or what like this all calculates out to be, and like I was given no answers. It was very, very difficult. So I was wondering if that was something, because I know we used to have a, I forget what her name was.
The success coach from Terra State that would come into the school and help with that exact piece. And I'm sorry you had that experience, but I will tell you that next year we're actually getting staff 2 days a week from Tiffin University, staff 2 days a week from Terra State, and we're working on with Heidelberg. We haven't gotten that commitment yet from Heidelberg to have staff here specifically working on that, because even when you get your numbers, which are,
You're
what's
overwhelmed,
what do I have to pay back? What is gifted? What is a scholarship? It's very, very confusing. And we also want to utilize those folks to help more of our students complete the FAFSA earlier, now with the priority deadline. Obviously, if our students are first generation college, those parents need support in that particular process. So Amy Wood has been leading that charge. Worked with Ron at Terra and Lil, and is working with staff at Heidelberg right now. So we're hopefully gonna fill that void, and you bring up a great point.
Thank you.
Is that something that we anticipate our guidance staff will handle? Is that something that?
We actually see it as our guidance staff taking something off their plate.
Okay.
From that perspective, because I think, just like the point being made, it's overload. There's lots of things, and people are running really fast and working hard, and it'll just allow us to get some free resources. We had a program in Marion called Gear Up, gaining early access and readiness to undergraduate programs. It's a federal grant, $400,000 a year for 7 years, that provided us with college advisors in the building. And what that did is allowed our counselors to spend more time on the social-emotional piece. We all know they have some administrative work and scheduling and things like this, but it allowed these college advisors to actually work with our students on the pieces that Kirsten talked about, looking at financial aid, applying to colleges, getting their recommendations in, working with parents to finish FAFSA. And what we're trying to do is marry that same project we had in Marion that was funded by our local universities, allowing us to their staff gratis. We hope that in turn helps their enrollment with our local students.
And it will.
Big piece of this is a new program that we invested in earlier, maybe last month, a couple months ago, with helping students guide and fill out that FAFSA. I don't remember what the exact program was called, but allowing students to go through and take these quizzes starting as, I believe, as low as 3rd grade, to start noticing what they like to do and things like that, but also start completing financial stuff like that. One thing that I wanted to bring up with the whole college and career readiness is that students get a freshman counselor, they get a sophomore counselor, they get a junior counselor, they get a senior counselor. But by the time that you just start to get to know your counselor, I mean, it takes a time for, you're having a guidance counselor that's developing a relationship with over 190 students. And I think that it's something that needs to be looked at, that if you want your counselors, they're trying to meet with 190 some students, that's a stretch, and they get it done, and I commend them for that. But once they build these relationships, they're passed on to another counselor. I think that there should be follow-up, and as a freshman year, there needs to be, same counselor freshman through senior year. I think that, we're talking about doing collaborations and things like that with teachers. I think it goes the same way with students and counselors.
You want to address that, Gary?
We definitely have a priority list, and that is one that's coming up. I think even when I interviewed for the first time, Dr. Gase asked my feelings about guidance counselors, and I said that longitudinal counseling, you following the kids for 4 years, getting to know their passions. Counselors need to know what you want to do, what you want to become, what you're interested in, and it is very hard when you are passed on to different counselors. So we've had some different things on our priority list, like the counselors the counselor additional at the elementary, the additional title. But I can tell you that that's something that I'm reminded of we don't have implemented quite regularly.
Thank you.
Yeah, even now, I've been fortunate enough to have Mrs. Musgrave this year. I already had a relationship with her because she was my freshman English teacher. So like I've noticed just the difference between having her this year and then like having other counselors that I like am just meeting. I already had a relationship with Mrs. Musgrave, so it was just so much easier to get all of my college in order because she was able to help me. She already knew me. She already knew what I wanted to do. So it was really helpful.
Andrew, thank you for bringing that up. It gives me an opportunity to, once again, I was shot down several years ago, my first year on the board. I thought longitudinal guidance counseling is something that we should be implementing, and I was told it can't be done. At that time, ostensibly because the seniors guidance counselor needed to know all the things about college credit plus, getting, and now that that's out of the, gone, down to the 7th grade counselors need to know that. So there's no reason to put that on just the senior guidance counselor. Furthermore, like you said, how can you write a senior letter if you didn't meet the person or you've only met him once? It's impossible to write a good letter, an honest letter. I believe that a relationship has to be built. And those relationships are built over time. And I furthermore believe you have to build a relationship not just with the student, but the student's family. Because you don't know the student until you know the family, and vice versa. And I think that would also include a visit to the home. I think that's something I'd like to see happen. Because a student can tell you one thing, and the parent may be saying to the student another, vice versa. There can be some antagonism there, and I think that has to be brought out sometimes. Because sometimes students don't want to do what the parents want them to do. So I think there's room for some improvement in that. And I think that's what we're implementing. But this doesn't happen overnight. It takes some planning and also adjustments of the assignment of students too. So, but Mr. Barber has assured me that we're going to work on that. Thank you.
On the list.
We are out of time. We're going to have an executive session. So we'll have to thank you everyone for the lively discussion. We will move into executive session where we'll be discussing the purchase of property and discuss matters of subject to pending or imminent court action.
So moved.
Motion by Henry.
Second.
Second by Widman. Roll.
Mr. Henry?
Yes.
Mr. Widman?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes. The executive session will be followed by no decisions being made at this time. Thank you very much, everyone. The next meeting will be April 23rd. Same place. Thank you.